Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Sangeeta to Teach. Today in this video we are going to look at the Code on Wages 2020. It is going to be a comparative study of new reforms with the existing act. So the basic agenda of this video is that we are going to see the need and context of this reform. Why we have this four codes coming into picture, what are the recent changes in the labor legislation, why these changes have come and what is this need for the change, and also look at the key features of Code on Wages. So we'll see. The labor legislation falls within the concurrent list. So what is this concurrent list? Concurrent list is nothing but giving power to both the central government and the state government to legislate the laws. So because the central government and the state government are doing a lot of laws too individually, there is a lot of confusion when you refer. So there is a need to simplify things. Because of this increased complexity, there is a need to simplify things, and also that the laws that we have are very old. For example, if we consider the Trade Unions Act, it is from 1926, or if we consider the Employee Compensation Act, it is at 1923. Even though we have some new amendments coming, but still the act is very old. So there is a need to modernize them. There is a need to make it very easy for the business to grow, right? And hence there is a need for replacing all these 44 labor legislations under 4 codes. So now you understood there is a lot of complexity, there is a lot of modernization that is needed in the laws. So we are going to codify all the labor legislations that we had into 4 codes, because we need uniformity. There is a need for uniformity, and hence the reforms have come into picture. And now let's see what are these 4 codes. The 4 codes are the wage code, that will deal with all the wage related laws, and also the bonus law and equal remuneration fall under the code of wages. Coming to the second one, the industrial relation code. This code will deal with the industrial disputes, the trade unions, and as well as the standing orders. These 3 laws comes under the industrial relation code. This we'll see in detail in the next video. For now, we're just seeing what are the 4 codes. Okay, the first one is wage code, the second one is industrial relation, the third one is the social security code. In the social security code, we see there is a security provided to employees in the establishment, and also the occupational safety, health and working condition code. This also provides the safety for the employees or the workmen in the establishments, right? So these are the 4 codes under which the whole 44 labor legislations have been codified, and these are the 4 codes. And now let's see what is common between these codes. The meaning of wage is common between all these 4 codes, because previously we used to have about more than 12 definitions, different definition for wages, and there is a need for uniformity, because there was a lot of confusion on what to refer as a wage. Meaning was very difficult, and hence there is a common thing that between all these 4 codes is that the meaning of the wage, and uniformity in the wage with specified exclusions. The specified exclusions should not exceed 50% of the gross pay. The second common thing between all these 4 codes is that complete web-based platform. All the aspects relating to the registration, it can be the filing of things, it can be inspection, calling for information, whatever it is going to be completely online. The advantage of being online is that things are going to be more transparent than before. The next one is the compounding of offenses. The main thing of this compounding of offenses is not that it is not just to punish, but it doesn't want things to be repeated, but it is giving you all the possible opportunities to the establishments, the eligible establishment, for making all the non-compliance good. The fourth one, the final one that is common between all these codes is that the deemed certification. So for anything that to happen, there is some notified number of days. Okay, if the authority is not undertaking its duty within that particular time, then automatically the application shall be deemed to be certified. So things are going to be more faster this time, the more very transparent, because it is going web based, and there is a lot of uniformity in terms of wage related definition, and a lot of things to go coming to be very good. So now let's see what actually is this wage code. So this act is all consolidating the laws related to wages and bonus. The four laws are the Equal Remuneration Act 1976, the Minimum Wages Act 1948, the Payment of Bonus 1965, Payment of Wages Act 1936. So all these acts, the four acts, have been now codified into one code, that is wage code. So you understood that the wage code is having the things related to the laws related to the wages, bonus and the equal remuneration. So we have the minimum wages, payment of bonus, payment of wages and also the equal remuneration into wage code. And now let's see the journey of the Wage Code Bill 2019, that is the timeline. So now we are referring to the timeline of the Code on Wages. It says that on 10th of August 2017, it was first time passed in Lok Sabha. And later this was referred to the Standing Committee on 21st August 2017. Later, the Standing Committee on 18th December 2017 submitted a report, but the bill was lapsed with the dissolution of Lok Sabha. So because it was lapsed, so again a new bill named Code on Wages Bill 2019 passed by Lok Sabha on 30th July 2019, which is very important. Please remember this date. Okay, and next this was passed in Rajya Sabha on August 2nd, 2019. So these two dates are very important. In Lok Sabha on 30th July 2019 and in Rajya Sabha 2nd August 2019. And now let's see what is the present status of Code on Wages. The present status of Code on Wages is that it has received the presidential assent on 8th August 2019. Right, the code is yet to come into force. It has not been very effective. The effective date is not yet announced. This has been the draft Central Rules 2020 notified for public comments on 7th July, and the final notification is still awaited. So it has received its presidential assent on 8th August, but yet the effective date has to be notified. It is not yet effective. Next, we'll see what are the changes, what are the different special reforms that have come into the Code on Wages. The Code on Wages seeks to regulate the wages, bonus payments in all employments. Now we understood that there were four acts, right? The four laws. So that were related to wages and bonus. So this Code on Wages, it seeks the regularity, the regular payment of wages, the regular payment of bonus and to all the employees. It can be an industry, it can be a trade, it can be a business or anything that is carried out. So it is this wage code is going to provide you a regularity in your payment of wages as well as bonus. So previously this used to have a lot many chapters. These are codified into, presently the Code on Wages is having 9 chapters with 67 sections and 26 definitions, constantly used terms. Now we understood it is having 9 chapters. We will in next video we'll see what are the 9 chapters and important sections that are related to your exam. We are going to discuss in the next coming video. Okay, and the intent to promote equality and the labor welfare and sustainability of enterprises, and thereby catalyzing the economic growth and creation of economic employment opportunities. So this will help in our growth, and this will create a lot many employment opportunities. The next one will see the key reform measures. Something that is very important, and the main features of this Code on Wage Bill is that it will ensure the timely wages of payment to all the employees. It will help in ease of compliance, setting up more enterprises thus more opportunities. So we are going to, because it is making things easy, there are more companies coming up and there would be more opportunities for employees to work. And change the role of inspector. Previously in the act we used to have an inspector who is only to inspect, but now we have inspector cum facilitator. He's a person who is not only going to inspect the things but also guide and advise the employers and the workers. And now it is going to remove the complexity of definition and authorities. And finally, it is going to universalize the provisions of minimum wages. And we'll see in detail about this in the next coming slides. Now you understood the advantage of a wage code bill, right? Because it has codified all the 4 laws. It is going to ensure that there is a timely payment of wages, ease of compliance, more opportunities, and there is a term called inspector cum facilitator, who is not only going to inspect but also guide and advise the employers and the workers. And this is all about this. And coming to the definition of wage, it clearly says that the wage includes the basic pay, diurnal allowance, and the retaining allowance. Okay, there are 3 things that are involved or included in wage. These are the basic wage, the diurnal allowance, and the retaining allowance. What it does not include is that the bonus, the PF contribution, the conveyance allowance, overtime allowance, or any commission, house rent allowance, or retrenchment compensation. These are not included in wage. You have to remember there is always a question what includes and what does not include. So it is very easy that it includes 3 things, that is basic pay, diurnal allowance, and retaining allowance. Remaining all, whatever it is does not included in the wage. Okay, remember these 3 things, and rest all comes under which does not include in the wage, right? Okay, now let's see that there is a new concept, or there was already a concept that of statutory wage floor to be fixed on the basis of minimum living standard of the workers. This is done. They are going to fix a wage floor. This is done by central government in consultation with the state governments and the central advisory boards on wages. So there are going to be some committees like central advisory board, and they are going to consult along with the central advisory board and the state governments in order to fix a wage floor. The floor wage can be a single floor for the entire country, or they can be a different floor wages for the different geographical areas. Now we'll understand. They were going to fix some amount of wage, that is the minimum rate of wage is going to fixed by the central government, and all the state governments shall fix this. It can be equal to this or above the floor wage. It should not be less than that. You understanding? It is simple that the floor wage, it can be a single floor wage for the whole country, or it can be a different floor wages for different geographical regions, and that the minimum wage rate is going to be fixed by the central government. The central government is going to fix it, and the state governments cannot provide them less than that. It should be equal to that or above the floor wage, but not less than that. So, for example, in the national average of minimum wage is that 176. So, the other states cannot provide the minimum wage for the employees less than that. They can give more than that, but not less than that. They can give equal to that or more than that, but not less than that. Getting the point? Okay. Now, let's see the other key measures. There's an outline of the uniform statutory criteria so that there is a revision of minimum wages rate for every 5 years. So we are going to have an revision for every 5 years. We are going to revise them and fix the particular minimum wage. And it also provides the timely adjustment of minimum wages. The second point talks about adjusting the minimum wages with respect to the inflation within every 6 months, 1st April and the 1st October, to protect the real wages of the employees, so that we will also adjust the timely payment with respect to the inflation. And also we're going to have a simplified and a rationalized existing complex minimum wage structure. So previously we used to have a very complex minimum wage structure, but now it is going to be very simplified format. And it is going to reduce the number of minimum wage rates in India from existing. There were around 1915 rates across the streets, but now it is going to minimize them to 3 and up to maximum of 12 rates per state. So previously we used to have a lot many rates, but now it is going to fix that minimum you can have 3 or maximum up to 12 different rates per state. Okay, so that it is going to reduce the number of wage rates, the minimum wage rates. And through the increased awareness of fewer minimum wage rates expected to improve the enforcement. So it will improve the enforcement and compliance and give an effective application of the minimum wage systems in the country. So now you understood, they are trying to implement this minimum wage rate at a good way rather than a complex structure. Now they are going to simplify and make it an easier one. And now the key important thing is that in this code on wage, it says that the definition of an employer by classifying even the contractor now is an employer. It says that it extends the definition of an employer by classifying the contractor as an employee. Now the contractor is also the employer. Okay, he is also the owner. Provides a clear and uniform definition for wages. We have already seen the definition of wage and the remuneration. And it restricts in-kind payments to maximum of 15% of the total wages. And the next point is very important. It says that the overtime compensation is twice the normal wage. So you have to remember, it is twice. This one is twice. There might be a question. The overtime compensation is dash times the normal wage extended to the employees. It is not thrice or 4 times, it is twice, 2 times. Okay, this is one of the important bit that you can expect. And next one is that it is giving you the timely payment of wages to all the employees and all the establishment irrespective of the wage ceiling. Previously we used to have wage ceiling, which used to have a fixed number, a wage. Less than that the employees are going to get, but now the wage ceiling is removed. Irrespective of the wage ceiling, you're going to get the timely payment of wages. And now we have promoting the digitalization in the payments. As we saw that there is everything is going online, everything is web-based platforms, and all the payments are going to be through the bank accounts and the electronic mode. And every employer shall issue the wage slips to the employees. And in case of removal or dismissal or retrenchment or resignation or becoming unemployed due to the closure or something like that, the wages shall be paid within 2 working days. This is also another important bit that you can expect. It says that in case of removal or there is some retrenchment or some resignation, or you're becoming unemployed because of some closure of your establishment, then the wages shall be paid within 2 working days. Within 2 working days. And it puts responsibilities of payment of any dues. The responsibility is given to the employer himself, so that he has to provide you the payment, whatever the dues it may be, right? The limitation period of filing a claim before authority increased to 3 years. So before, if there was some payment issue or something that has gone, or delay in your payments, or some dues that have been not paid, if you have to file a complaint, you can do it within 6 months to 2 years, but now this period has been extended to 3 years. A fast track claim in the adjudication process. So the things are going to be more faster than before. And let's see the timely payment. When you are going to pay, if you are a daily based worker, you are going to get your payment at the end of the shift, on that day itself, at the end of your shift. If you are a weekly basis, on weekly basis you're going to get your wage on the last working day of the week. So if you're working from Sunday to Saturday again, then you're going to get on the last working day, and that is on Saturday. fortnightly basis, which is nothing but for a 15 days. If you're working for a 15 days, it is called as a fortnightly. So before the end of the second day after the end of the fortnight, you're going to get your wage. And monthly basis before the expiry of the 7th day of the succeeding month. As we previously used to have in Payments of Wages Act, it says that if more than 1,000 employees are there, then you're going to pay before 10th of every month, and if it is less than 1,000, you're going to pay it on before the 7th. So in a similar way, if on the monthly basis, you're going to pay the before the expiry of the 7th day of the succeeding month. Coming to the now we'll see something about the Equal Remuneration Act 1976 that is included in the Code on Wages, right? So now we are going to see the gender equality. There is the prohibition of the gender-based discrimination among the employees in the establishment. Now, everywhere you're going to see the equality in the gender. In matters relating to wages, it can be recruitment of employees or the conditions of the work by same employer in respect of the same work or the work of similar nature done by any employees. There must be no discrimination among the gender. And work of similar nature is defined as work for which the skill, effort, experience, and the responsibility required are the same when performed under similar working conditions. It says that uh, whereas the similar nature of work is defined, the very quick answer should be it is from the code on wages, right? Because it also deals with the gender based discrimination, prohibition of gender based discrimination, because it is this code on wages also relates with the Equal Remuneration Act, and hence we are reading this under this code. So the wage on code also deals with the work of similar nature as well, right? Okay. And it also reduces the compliance burden and transaction cost for the employers. Amalgamation of reducing the sections to 69 instead of triple one. That is, before you used to have, the before, when we combine all this, we used to have 111 sections, but now we are going to have only 69 sections in the 4 wage related regulations. So as I said you, there are 9 chapters, 69 sections. Okay. And there is a uniformity and a common definition that are frequently used, like wages, workers, employers, employer. And we have already seen that the extension of employer definition is that we are going to include the contractor as an employer. Okay, the establishment and appropriate government these are the commonly used definitions. And there is a reduced number of authorities, tri-party bodies, and the things have been reduced and made more uniformed and simple. And there is only one rule instead of 8 different rules. At present we are going we at present we used to have 8 rules, but now we are going to follow only one rule. And this is going to make things very easy because things are going online. The options of filing and maintenance of registers, returns, and forms, everything is gone electronically. And there is only one template for all registrations, returns, instead of multiple ones at present. So now we usually have different templates or different forms for different things, but now things are going more easy for compliance. So there is only one template for all the registrations or returns or forms of anything that you do. There is only one rule and one template. And it brings the inspection system. It is going to reduce the corruption and infuse the transparency as things are going online. And we also saw that the inspector cum facilitator will not only inspect but also impose fines, but also provide information and advise and guide the employers. Has introduced the web-based inspection scheme, calling information under the code electronically for inspection. As I said, things are being more selective, and the inspections are going to be very fast, and everything is seen online. And it mandates that inspector cum facilitator to provide prior opportunity to the employer to rectify and comply with provisions of the code by the way of the written directions before initiation. So facilitator cum inspector cum facilitator is going to help all the employers, okay, and where it prohibits them, and he's going to guide them in an order that there is no wrong things done by the employer side. This person is going to help them and guide them. So now let's talk about the bonus, as this wage of code on wages deals with the payment of bonus. Now we are seeing the bonus related reforms. So all the employees whose wage does not exceed a specific amount, that is notified by the central or the state government. But the eligibility criteria for bonus is that he must have at least worked for 30 days in an accounting year. In the whole year, he has to work at least 30 days in order to get his annual bonus. So we know that the minimum bonus is that 8.33% of his wages, or rupees 100, whichever is higher. So it is irrespective of the allocable surplus. So we know that the annual minimum bonus is that it is 8.33% or 100, whichever is higher. In addition to that, the employer will distribute a part of gross profit amongst the employees. This will be distributed in proportion to the annual wages of the employee. So he can distribute the gross profits also. Coming to the penalties, if the things are not going in a proper way, there is an penalty that you have to pay. So this is the slide that gives you an clarity about the penalty. So for first offense, if it pays to an employee less than the amount due under this code, so if you are paying whatever is expected less than that, then you are going to pay 50,000 rupees. So you are being fined with 50,000 rupees. If you repeat the same thing, then you are going to be punished. It can be imprisoned for 3 months, and also the fine can be extended for 1 lakh rupees or both. So first time, if you are paying less, then you are going to pay fine of 50,000 rupees. If the same thing repeats, you are going to be imprisoned for 3 months, and also and the fine would be for 1 lakh rupees. And the rest you can see in the slide, that for example, if there is no proper maintenance of registers, or improper register maintenance, or anything like that, you're going to pay a fine of 10,000 rupees. So this is an important slide. You have to look on this, because penalties are very important, right? Okay, the whole thing is that now we are going to have an integrated approach. Now the things are with a lot of uniformity, a lot of clarity, rather than a complex version. Now we are going to have an integrated approach to strengthen our wage policy. So now we have seen whatever is covered in this wage policy is that we are going to get the regular adjustment of the minimum wages. Regular payment is done, and regularly we are going to adjust the minimum wages with respect to the inflation for every 6 months, and also for every 5 years we are going to revise the minimum wages. And there is 100% coverage under minimum wage. Previously, these acts were more focused on organized sectors, but now everyone, including the unorganized sectors, everyone is included under this umbrella, and hence this covers the 100% under the minimum wages. And there is a use of technology where everything is going online, where we are using web-based technologies in order to inspect, in order to do some registrations or so. And also the criteria for setting up of minimum wages to be skill or region. So we may have a single wage for the entire country, or we can also have a multiple minimum wages with respect to the different geographical location. And next one is that before we used to have a lot many definitions for a single single definition of wage, but now the things are more simplified and rationalized. And now there is an effective grievance redressal mechanism that is going to take place So things are going to strengthen the wage policy. An effective minimum wage policy that targets the vulnerable bottom of the wage earners can help in driving up an aggregate demand and building up and strengthening the middle class. So this is one of the main agenda or an objective, is that to strengthen the wage policy, and this can be done with only with the integrated approach. So this is all about the wage related Code on Wages 2020. This is a brief introduction about what has happened and how the things, and what was the need. What was the need? The need was to simplify, modernize, and get things into a structure. And this will give you a more clarity about the Code on Wages. And next coming videos, we are going to see more about this in forms of sections and chapters. And this is a brief idea to know what are the changes. That's it. And in the next videos we'll see also the code on industrial relations and the other codes as well. And thank you for watching.